At Siggraph 2020, more than 10,000 individuals from 95 countries gathered virtually to experience over 350 hours of content presented by more than 1,600 contributors. What resulted was pure Siggraph. Robotic advances use subtractive fabrication techniques to carve foam and similar materials like an artist. Modeling and predictive computation creates a more robust and accurate time-stepping of nonlinear elastodynamics. New investigation into damage simulation could change the landscape of video and game effects, as well as surgical training. Novel healthcare technologies point toward new ways to transform and enhance lives. Research will help users to create reprogrammable multicolor textures made from a single material. AI-driven technology pushes the capabilities of crowd simulation. Award-winning animation showcases the latest in computer graphics. Real-time and gaming technology advancements transform interactive storytelling techniques and explore new applications of the technology. Evocative digital artwork uses machine learning to create visceral experiences. Now is the time to share your research, your innovations, and your creative inspiration. Siggraph is your community, and we hope you'll share your work with Siggraph 2021.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Siggraph 2021 SV Live. I am your community manager for this year as a part of the SVSC, which is the Student Volunteers Subcommittee. And before we bring our guests in, I do want to read our anti-harassment policy. ACM Siggraph policy against harassment. This live stream is moderated by ACM Siggraph. We ask that all comments stay respectful of others and respect ACM's policy against harassment. This means to exercise consideration and respect in your speech and actions, refrain from demeaning, discriminatory, or harassing behavior and speech. Be mindful of your fellow participants. All right. And now we can start. Everyone can unmute themselves. Hello, welcome. Thank you all for joining. These are some of our previous SVs. They've all done at least one student volunteering experience, and they've also all done a virtual SV experience. So they have some tips to give you and talk about their experience. First, I want to start with introductions. So starting off with Sam, then Kiran, then Alana. Tell us your name, your location, what you're working on these days, and when was your first Siggraph?
Sure. So I could start. Hi, everyone. I'm Sam Delara. I'm based in Boston, Massachusetts. I'm currently a 3D artist lead at 3XR, and I came from Northeastern University, and I've attended 4 Siggraph conferences so far. So that would be, my first one was in North America during 2018. So that would be Siggraph Vancouver.
Awesome. We'll take it off to Kiran.
Hey everyone, I'm Kiran. I'm from Sri Lanka, and I'm working as a technical artist in a local game studio. And my first Siggraph was in Siggraph Bangkok, Siggraph Asia Bangkok in 2017, and since then I've been part of 4 Siggraphs.
Cool.
Everyone, I'm Alana Mango. I'm located in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm currently finishing off a master's degree at SCAD while working on, my focus is on 2D character animation.
Nice.
My first Siggraph was Siggraph Asia 2019 in Brisbane.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know Brisbane was your first. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Very cool. I have met and hung out and did SVing with all of these people a couple times at least. So lovely people. You definitely have some good stuff to tell you. So we'll start off with some of your favorite SV memories. I would say pick one, but if there's plenty, that's okay too.
Sure. So I more related to the student volunteering job. My favorite memory from being an SV was when we were in center in Vancouver. I was working as one of the people doing the kiosks for VR, and we were just doing an experience. So you put a headset on a person and you go to every next person. Totally not COVID friendly now, but it was very fun at the time. And what hit me really as to like how far reaching Siggraph was and how impactful it was I put a headset on a person. And before I did that, I asked, oh, do you know how to use an Oculus? This is how you do so. And I sort of just went on a rant. And then immediately the person cut me off and said, yeah, you're okay. I work for Oculus. So that was one of those things where I was like, wow, okay. I need to be more mindful of who I equivalent mansplain to, but also just it's super really interesting how you can just bump into people you never really sort of meet otherwise. I never would have met any of you guys otherwise.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, for sure. What about you, Kiran?
Well, there are actually so many memories, and really can't pinpoint one from one memory particularly. So, but my favorite Siggraph was Siggraph Brisbane. That was in 2019, and it was my first time as a TL. And so the whole experience of going through that process of getting mentored by experienced TLs and engaging more with attendees, SVs, and conference management, that was such a roller coaster ride where I learned so much about like leadership and teamwork and all sort of different stuff. And afterwards, Siggraph, we all of us, like set of us, went on a trip to Nusa. And when we went there, such an amazing experience there as well, where like we discovered squeaky sand beaches.
Oh my
like,
God, yes.
Bioluminescent planktons who made like the beach glow at night, and like beautiful hikes that ended up in like beautiful waterfalls and rock pools. And I got to meet my like career idol as well in Siggraph. I had this weird time issue as well, where my watch's time zone was in Sydney time instead of Brisbane. So I was like an hour early for that talk with my idol, and then like I got to meet him like 1 hour extra because of that, and had a very long chat with him, which ended up being really nice. So
That's
yeah,
really awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so and we did a dance class. So it was like really very engaging and very interacting, and yeah, that's very nice.
Yeah. Brisbane was definitely a lot of fun. That was also my first time TLing in Asia, for sure. That was a fun one. Absolutely. What about you, Alana?
I just really love being able to hang out with people from like around the world. That's the sort of environment, like social environment, I feel most like alive and enthusiastic and at home in. So it was just a really like for like what 3 or 4 days, just this amazing breath of fresh air. Like yes, these are my people. We're international friends and we're all nerds. I love this.
Yes. I think that's a great way to put it, for sure. Yeah, I like that. That's like, it's a favorite SV memory. It's just like the whole vibe of it, for sure.
It's the first thing that comes to mind when I think of Siggraph is just the group of people.
Yeah, for
Definitely.
sure. I will definitely say I've made some really good friends. Like some of them I'm talking to right now, even. So it's a very cool place, for sure. All right. Well, with that, I will transition into our next question, which is, what made you decide to be an SV in the first place? How did you hear about it, or how did you decide to join? What pushed you into it?
So I can start. I was actually very hesitant to apply to be an SV. I don't know if most people know that, where I didn't apply until my junior year of college. I heard about it from a classmate and an old professor of mine, and they had rave reviews as to like, oh, it's amazing, it'll be life-changing. And then I was just like, I need to focus on college first. But really, what happened was that with my first Siggraph in Vancouver is that I wanted to go to Vancouver anyway, and I have family in Vancouver. So I thought, well, that this is like the stars aligning. I should actually apply, try my best this year, and see what happens. And so I did get in as a student volunteer, and you can look at my resume. I haven't stopped since, because it was just such an amazing opportunity that my really big one regret is to not have done it earlier in my college career, because you're only eligible for so long as a student volunteer. And so I wasn't able to make the most of my time if I had done it earlier, but I am very blessed to say that I am glad I did join when I did. because it's a very good experience that I would highly recommend to anyone.
On that note, I do want to add, for anyone who is applying for this year, note that if you were eligible last year, you're eligible this year as well. So yeah, we're wrapping up on our applications due March 5th as well. So just keep that in mind. If you didn't know you were eligible, I hope now you do. I'll hand it off to Kiran.
Similar to you, Sam, my professor introduced me to Siggraph. And so the year before I applied, there was another student who had applied from my university, and he had got selected, but got some visa issues and couldn't attend. So people are kind of like bummed about it, like we might not be able to go again, blah blah. And then I was also like, I don't want to, because I haven't gone abroad since I was like really small, and it was my first time if I had to go alone. So I was a bit iffy about that as well. But then if I remember properly, I applied on the last day of the deadline. And yeah, I somehow got through, and since then, like, it was life changing. And when I got back, everything was like a fresh experience, and my perspective of the entire industry and the world changed, and the people I met, and they actually like influenced me a lot, and I kept coming back since every year.
Isn't that funny where it's like, you're just like, maybe I'll do it. Like you do it last minute. Even I was like that, like before I knew anything about it, I was just like, I don't know, maybe I'll check it out. And then once you do it, you're like, you're stuck. Like you just have to keep coming back.
Exactly. It's like you're missing something, like you're missing a limb or something. You need to come back.
Yeah. What about you, Alana?
For me, I actually had sort of the opposite, like beginning state as Sam. I think because this is sort of like, this is my second time like going through college, and I'm going for my master's, so I already had the undergrad experience of like, I don't want to, let me focus on this, and now from experience I know that you miss out on so much, and you gain basically nothing by focusing exclusively on your in classroom experiences. And it's really those extracurriculars and like that going the extra mile that will put you in a good position later in life. So like my first year back, I was just basically doing any kind of opportunity I can, any kind of extra credit, any kind of like talk. I was like, yes, I want to see it. I want to hear it all. I want to do it. I don't know what that is. Tell me, talk to me about it. It's just cool. Sounds interesting.
Yeah, I love that you brought that up, because I feel like that's probably the most important aspect of becoming an SV is like, it's not just that like you get to see a cool conference or like get to meet new friends, but also whatever industry you're in, like however it's related, you just get yourself immersed in whatever's happening, latest, whoever's, like at the top of the industry or building stuff up. Maybe you meet some indie developers and then you start working for, like, it's just like that kind of connecting with all kinds of people.
The promise of being able to make professional connections was very, very motivating for me.
Absolutely, yeah. I love that you brought that up. Actually, that's definitely a big call out for anyone who's thinking of or on the edge about applying or not. All right. Well, from that, I do want to transition to how the virtual experience was for everyone last year.
I was actually very surprised how good I found it. Apparently, it's a trend with me where I think of things negatively and then I'm suddenly surprised. But it was just so fun, even though it was a virtual experience, especially as an SV, because there were so many social situations that in some situations, I was more comfortable because I was in my own room, in my own environment. I could step out of my comfort zone more so and talk to that little avatar in the corner, or I could just click the Zoom link and go into a talking space. And so it was really cool to just be able to see old friends, make new friends, and do all of that from the comfort of my own home. And then, I mean, one of the SV memories that was tied for like one of my favorite ones that's more social related was that this year in Brisbane, or not this year in Brisbane, this year in what was supposed to be Siggraph, Korea, we were just staying up until my time, 3 a.m., just playing Scribble.io. So we were just drawing, having fun. and I didn't look at the clock, and suddenly it was 3 a.m. my time, and everyone else had to go eat breakfast.
that was pretty funny, honestly. I remember even at the end of like Siggraph Asia this past year, what was supposed to be Korea, we had two parties, like two virtual parties at the end, and I remember just like we did the first one, and then the next one was in like, I don't know, like 6 hours later or something, and I just like slept, woke up, and got back into the second party. That was a fun experience.
Yeah, I'm the same time zone as you. I did this exact same thing.
Exactly. What about you, Kiran?
Yeah, actually, yeah, like Sam said, I was also pleasantly surprised, like the amount of work that the management and the SVC have put in to like make it more engaging and like more close to the actual in-person Siggraph. That was actually a really nice surprise. And compared with the actual in-person one, it was more convenient, I guess, to just come to the computer, just log into this thing, and like less cost, less time, and if you just manage your time well, you just have to show up for a shift and you're all good to go, right? And afterwards you could just be online and mingle with others on the voice chat, and there's these nice rooms where you have these avatars and you can go into like certain areas and you can just talk about anything you want, right? But just yeah, it was really nice, just that that in-person connection in the actual Siggraph, that was the only thing that was missing. But then there was so much of other background work that had been done to mitigate or just make it as grand as the in-person one.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I think for me, even like you said, it was like a balance of, okay, I don't get to hang out with people in real life or like connect with them in person, but I actually get to like see more stuff because I can
Exactly.
just pop into a bunch of different things whenever I want.
That's what. So I had my shift on the left screen, that I have two monitors on the left screen, and all the other interesting talks that I want on the other side. So that was really nice. Otherwise, you have to just walk towards the other hall to like swap shifts with others to attend what you want. And there's on-demand sessions as well at the end. So
yeah, that's true.
Pretty much covered for all of it.
Yeah, exactly. So like, yeah, if you're on shifts and like you can't really attend something, you can always watch it later. Like you don't have to miss out on it as if you would in real life. Which is pretty cool. What about you, Alana?
Yeah, that was a big bonus for me. I remember last year, or 2019, the other last year, I was so excited, but I was also so stressed out about like all this stuff looks interesting and I want to go to this, and this, but trying to figure out where everything physically was in the building and what time it was taking place and on what day was very like emotionally overwhelming.
Especially if it's your first time, like
especially if it's your first time, and you're jet lagged.
Oh damn.
Which we were. And so I just remember there were times when I felt just like but it all being online, you just like you get a calendar and like you just click on everything. It was so organized, so easy to understand. And it was a huge load off. And again, like being able to just like click in, it's not a full day commitment. I was also very worried that like I'm in thesis now, and I was worried like I don't think I can really feasibly commit to this. But they were so much more flexible being virtual, that even with my full schedule I was able to just dip in for a bit and help out with like a panel, and that still worked out.
That's really awesome. Yeah, definitely a bonus if you have a busy schedule, you've like a completely different time zone. Example, Kiran right now, 4:30 a.m. for you.
Oh no.
5:30 now. Yeah.
5:30 now.
Remember to eat breakfast.
Yeah.
So definitely all of that, counts. And again, like even for me, my first time, oh my god, at the end, I was so not prepared for how exhausting it would be that I got sick at the end of my first Siggraph, for example. So I think as like dipping your toes in virtual as your first time might be really helpful for a lot of people who might need that kind of like getting ready, getting prepared, and then maybe next year, hopefully, we'll do it.
Yeah, I remember in Brisbane we started like a yoga circle during in the break room.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
we
really
didn't no
significant.
need for that at this point.
Yeah,
Well,
significant.
still, I will probably force people to get up from their desks and like stretch.
No, you're right. As soon as I said it, I was like, I'm stretching in pain right now. And I'm like,
Yeah,
you know what
right.
you're saying is
It's
a
like-
lie. Why do you say these things?
I mean, I attended your virtual yoga. It was still pretty good. That helped my back.
Yeah.
I'm glad I can bring that joy into Siggraph. All right. Well, on that note, what are some tips for first-time SVs? Sam, starting off with you.
Of course. So I would say one of the biggest things is just to go outside of your comfort zone. I hit on that a little bit earlier, but that's one of the biggest things of like, this is a really unique and really cool opportunity. So if you can click that Zoom link, if you can talk to that avatar, if that doesn't matter if you already know them or you don't, everyone at Siggraph that I've at least met is very open and understanding, getting to know the SVSC, the TLs, other SVs. Just getting to know and befriend everyone is pretty much my go-to advice, because everyone's such a cool person. Everyone comes from such cool backgrounds, no matter what they're doing, and you can really just make longtime friends, which is one of the biggest takeaways from the conference, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Kiran?
Yeah, so I advise to maybe double or triple check the schedules to show up on time, because it's absolutely important that you show up on time. And like Sam mentioned, don't be shy to talk to random people. A trick that I sort of did was like I found some SVs who had like similar interests that I do, and I tagged with them into these networking events, especially in Brisbane, where I tagged with Pla and went to all these networking parties because she was also looking for jobs. I was also looking for jobs. We were just going everywhere looking for jobs, and definitely like bring your portfolio reel and use the S3R3 reviews for like your advantage, like that. Like if you're in person, that in-person review, or right now in the online format, that one-on-one review is like much more than just an online review, like you send somebody and they review it online or something, because it's one-on-one and then you can ask some follow-up question or something like that, and it's just super motivating, like when they are speaking directly to you, and that sort of thing is definitely something to look for when you're first time SV.
Well, absolutely. And yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, you can sign up for these reviews and you can learn more about that on my website too. Yeah, I'll hand it off to Alana.
Advice. Well, my first advice is to take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. It's an extremely doable thing. It feels, at least for me, I don't know how many. I'm sure a lot of people interested in this sort of thing are, sort of on the introverted, nerdy side. You might have some issues with nerves, as I do. It seems like a big deal because this is such a very cool, professional, prestigious conference, but the job is extremely, extremely doable. Everybody is cool and nice and friendly, and you just got to go with the flow and just take it one step at a time. It's very doable. And bouncing off of what Sam said, like, don't be afraid to put yourself out there and like talk to strangers, meet new cool people that you can network with. I actually got to talk to a bunch of people from Pixar. One woman gave me a piece of advice that I still take with me to this day. I was just talking to a friend, and we were just socializing, which is another piece of advice. Just socialize.
Yeah.
We use the word networking, and it makes it sound impossible, but really it's just socializing.
Just being friendly. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. I said something, I made some sort of self-deprecating joke, and this woman said, you can't talk like that in front of, you can't make comments like that about yourself, because people especially women and gender minorities, other minorities as well, people are already looking to lower you down or peg. So if you're already doing that to yourself, you're not doing yourself any service. Even a comment like that, like she's in 3D, I'm in 2D, probably our paths aren't going to cross again, but that piece of advice from a professional, like a successful person in the industry was really valuable.
Yeah, that sounds really powerful, especially coming from someone who's like a lead. So you then realize, okay, people who are at the top of these things are thinking of this kind of stuff.
Yes.
I think
it's really powerful being able to just talk to these people as people and hearing from their like personal experience, hearing how they think, hearing how they've gotten to where they are. That's something that you can take with you.
I love that. Yeah, that's so cool.
That's amazing. Yeah,
that's really cool.
Speaking about meeting like random people like that, I remember my first time being on the shift. My first SV shift, I was on the registration table, and I was just handling off registrations to people. And I looked to my left, and there's this person right next to me, like about a feet away, just sleeping on a chair, right? And then he wakes up, and then he asks for me for like the Wi-Fi password and the time and all, and so I just help him. And I couldn't but notice, but his name tag, it said NVIDIA graphics, right? So I was like, hey, what do you do at NVIDIA and all that? And then he turned out to be the chief architect who wrote the simulation system in the Maya software, right? And then we just had this big conversation, and then I took a picture with him and sent it to my lecturer. And my lecturer sent a picture back to me of the same person sleeping in a different Siggraph that he has a picture with.
I love this story.
That's so fun.
That's amazing.
Is that the guy with the Lego?
No, that's Alana. No.
Okay.
He's called Josh Tam. He's a tall guy with like long hair. And
That's so cool.
Yeah.
These iconic people at Siggraph who hopefully our first timers will get to meet, even though it's virtual this year, because I'm sure they will show up. I know Alana will definitely show up. I don't want to promise
a lot of them, especially Alana, like specifically like interacting with the SVs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no. Having a photo with him, it just also helped ease myself into Siggraph, because I was like, oh, this person wants me to be a part of the community. That's so cool, and that's so good for especially beginner SVs too, because it's a segue into like being friendly with everyone.
They want us here.
Yeah, they want me here.
Exactly. Like, and especially that coming from like someone like Alana, like who is so important in his field and all of that, but it's like, oh, you know, like random kid who's like just a college student, like, what's up? Like, what do? You want to be a part of this? And you're like, yes, please, thank you. Yeah, that's very cool. Well, our last question will be, what are some tips for SV applications? Since all of you have gone through it at least once or twice, you all must have some tips that you're just like, okay, this got me in, or like, don't ever do this. I know people won't get in if they do this. Anything that you can think of.
Yeah, I mean, I know a big thing, this is just across the board, whatever you're applying for, is to just show, don't tell. You are trying to tell this random stranger or group of strangers who you are and why you fit in this case, the SV role, or this applies to even when you're applying for jobs. You want to be able to demonstrate of like, why am I going to be a good SV? Don't just tell me like, oh, superfluously, I'm good because I'm a good listener. Why are you a good listener? How are you a good listener? What have you done that makes you sort of showcase you are a good listener, or showcase you're a team player, showcase your whatever quality you're trying to convey? Because at the end of the day, these people don't know you, and you're trying to get them to see that, yeah, no, you would be a really good SV.
Yeah, proof, right? For sure.
Yeah,
don't overthink it, but also, oh, sorry.
No, go on. Sorry.
Don't overthink it, but also like spend time on your answers. The first piece of advice I got was like, the person reviewing these is like dedicating their time to going through all these applications. So if they're seeing that you're not even putting in the time, you're not even putting in the effort on the application, they're probably not going to think that you really want it that bad. Yeah, and again, going off of Sam, tell a personal story. Like, show don't tell. Prove, like, show exactly what you're talking about. Show the receipts of what you were talking about.
Right. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I really like that note for sure, because we can definitely always tell if someone's like put in the time and the effort. And for sure, because there's so many applicants and there's so many people who are just like dying to take part in it. If we can tell that you're like whatever about it, and you didn't put any effort, we'll probably want to give it to someone who is, dedicating a lot of time. What about you, Kiran?
That's true. Yeah, so something that I realized, like, after I wrote my first draft in the first application I wrote, was that I had missed like a sub part of a question, where like there's one big question and there's a sub part of that question as well. So I had only answered the top part and not the bottom one. So it's like always check whether you have answered all the questions and all the sub questions as well when you're answering. And like Alana and Sam said, like, make sure to give proof to your reasoning. Don't put yourself as your own reference. I've seen some people do that, and I've heard people like say that they have done it. So yeah, and make sure all the documents you attach are correct, and like all the details you enter are correct, and I think you should be good to go. And yeah, just be honest and like be yourself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Yeah,
jumping off of that, I would also recommend giving it enough time. I know admittedly I haven't always given myself enough time, but you need references to be a Siggraph like applicant. So you need to be able to tell this third party person who, like Kieran said, is not yourself, of, hey, you write this sort of recommendation for me. And that time is really the resource that no one really has. So that's really important that you sort of allot and plan for that ahead of time too.
Yeah.
It's okay to remind a reference if they forget.
Yes.
Professors forget things.
Yes.
It's okay to remind them.
Okay.
Absolutely. And also to remind them to check their spam folder, because that happens a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, take some time early on to ask people if they can write you a reference, and make sure you're actually like on good terms with them. Sometimes we do get references that are just like, this person's mediocre, and it's like, you don't want that. You want someone who's gonna be like, yes, I love this person, they're great, they're like top of their class or whatever, whoever they are. So yeah, just don't get it from just anyone. Yeah, good call out.
If you can get another person to look at your application so that they can get some errors and like proofread your application, that's also very helpful.
Especially if maybe they've attended Siggraph before, maybe they've been an SV or a team leader, or maybe they're like someone more professionally, like they could be your mentor or your professor, something like that. But for sure, proofread is very good.
Yeah, and like if English isn't your first language, and get a friend to check it.
Yeah, that's a good call out too. Yeah, absolutely. And
I
definitely,
don't know how strict the TLs are about like that kind of thing, but it's an international crowd, so it's not. I imagine it's not like a huge deal.
Yeah, absolutely. I did want to add that it's like we're definitely not going to dock off any points for like grammar mistakes or anything like that, but we do want to see that maybe like you proofread and you corrected any spelling mistakes. You could see like we're not going to really care about it as much, but we do want to see you put some effort. So it's always good for someone to double check, especially if you don't feel the most confident in your writing, I would say. All right, well, that's the end of our questions, but we can have some audience questions. So I think, right, so how did the SV program affect you in general? There's one question from Kader. So that could be networking, career, professional way, or any other way. Honestly, it could just be like, I had an amazing trip and was the trip of my lifetime. Could be anything.
I mean, to be honest, I think we've all said that, it's affected all of us very greatly, networking, career-wise, friendship-wise. I know specifically I've been on the end of my job was looking for people for like a 3D artist. And so we actually hired someone that I met through Siggraph. I met him because our flights landed in Brisbane at the exact same time. And through the Siggraph SV program, we just hooked up with we met up with each other from a spreadsheet. And we got to know each other. He was friendly. I saw that he had the skills, and so I gave him the job. He currently works for 3XR now too as a contractor. So
that's awesome. Yeah.
I feel very good that I was able to actually pay it forward in that way. But that's sort of, if you're on the receiving end, of course, if you know someone and you're friends with someone and they're like, oh, I need a 3D artist. Oh, I need a 2D artist. Oh, I need a computer graphics person. And because you're friends with that person, they're going to think of you first. Because at the end of the day, personality shines through a lot of things.
That's very true. Yeah, I think that's a very important point. Is like when people say networking, I feel like that's kind of really what they mean. Also, it's just like the more cool people you meet, the more people you become friends with. It's just they'll think of you first because they think you're a nice person and they get along with you, and maybe they went out to get some food with you, and it's just they happen to know you instead of someone whose name they don't see in an application that just like comes in online. Yeah, I think those are very valuable. And again, like Siggraph, a great place to do that. Just casually meet people, even if there might not be like a career thing inside, but you never know. You never know what may come out of all these different friendships.
Yeah, 100%. I wouldn't be the person that I am today if not for Siggraph, because
Wow.
definitely, because like I said before, like it like opened my eyes to like a really really broad perspective, and like really broad in terms of industry wise, like what's happening in the industry. Like I was just in this small island, in the world, and like being kind of like a frog in a well, like not knowing much, just knowing everything through like whatever I search on social media or whatever, and that's all curated according to what I like and all. So I don't see anything out of my liking. So it was really eye-opening in terms of that, and then meeting all these people, and I've gotten a couple of gigs from Siggraph as well, from different people, and yeah, and hearing other people getting different career opportunities from Siggraph makes you want to attend it even more, and and get more motivated. So yeah, definitely, it's just life changing, and meeting all these wonderful people, and building like an international family.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
I do love that, like that it was so valuable for you, because like even I think I feel that a little bit where it's like when I first started Siggraph, that was probably like a year after I had also like come out of, from completely different country and studying abroad, all of that, and then adding to that like a conference full of people from everywhere. I think going through it like year after year made me learn so much about the world that I might not have gotten in touch with. Like I'll just ask friends from all over the globe random questions about stuff, like their cultures, their stuff they like, all this kind of thing. It's like it'll always be a fun conversation, and also just becoming more, I think, socially comfortable, right? Like in a personal level, I think it does. The more you do it, the more you become just adapted to talking to all kinds of people from different backgrounds and talking to big crowds and all that kind of stuff. So I like that you pointed that out, as it really broadens your horizons on a very personal level as well, for sure. What about you, Alana?
Yeah, for me, similar point of it gave me the opportunity to genuinely like have human conversations with like people that like a couple years ago I would have thought were untouchable, like Pixar, like technical directors and people like that. But it's there's a lot of value to be gained from just getting experience and talking to people. Without like, the more you do it, the less you'll freak out about it, the more you'll have an understanding of like, okay, that was not a good interaction. I won't repeat that one. This was a great interaction. Maybe I'll go for something more like that next time. I scared away a whole group of Disney animators at that rooftop party, and I'm not gonna I was trying to break the ice for some other SVs, and then I accidentally made a joke that was a little too dark, and they scattered, and the group of SVs behind me was like standing there with their drinks.
Oh, no.
I mean, you win some, you lose some, and you have to have both of those experiences, and it's good to like just get a whole lot of those experiences out at once.
Absolutely. Yeah, I love that. Like the philosophy of that even. Yeah, it's just you just make memories, right? Like there's not necessarily, great, like good and bad. It's just these are all different memories, and you learn something different. So
Yes.
it's just
It's
a great place.
experience.
Exactly. Right. I think we have one more question, right? If we can pull that up. Awesome. All right. So our question is, in the technical knowledge area of the application, there's platform troubleshoot, testing, interest. Do I rank this based on skill or based on interest? Right. So I think I should probably answer this. So these technical knowledge type questions, like skill-based questions, are mainly for pre-conference shifts. So if we need you to take on something to prepare for the conference, but not like during the shift, we just want to know how comfortable you feel with the different kind of technical knowledge we might need for that. So I would say based on skill, but as well as if it's, you might be really skilled at something, but if you're really not interested in doing it, obviously like keep that in mind. But mainly, we're asking if you feel comfortable doing this type of task. So skill would come first. Yeah. Do we have any other questions? Let me check. Oh, all right. From Alex, who's our SVSC chair this year. So you'll be interacting with them a lot for sure in your orientation and throughout your shifts. What's one of your favorite conference programs? Right, yeah, there's a lot of cool things, so I'm sure it'll be hard to choose. But okay, Alana seems very excited to answer this, so I will start with them.
The technical papers flash forward was really cool.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's sort of like everyone's favorite. It's a whole bunch of people just get up and present their basically their entire thesis of their technical paper, and they do it in 5 minutes. And a lot of them are very like funny and engaging, and it's really great that especially for me personally, I'm coming from 2D, so I'm not doing a lot of the really, really cutting edge computer graphics stuff, but I'm really, really interested, and I want to learn, and I want to hear what everyone's working on. But I can't if I sit there if I sit there in front of their whole technical paper, it's going to mean nothing to me.
Yeah.
So it's really, really great with seeing like all this different technology in a consumable way, and in an often very entertaining way.
I was gonna say it's always funny too. Yeah, like exactly the same. Like the really in-depth, very technical stuff in Siggraph, I also just like goes over my head. But seeing it in such a short amount of time and like just so funny, the way they explain it. I love it, and all the visuals they create, and it's even cooler if you have like your friends who go up and do it, and you're just there like, oh my god, I'm so proud of you, and, like that's so funny, good job. So that's very cool too.
Yeah, I feel super smart after I attend one of those too, because you feel like, oh, I have a good understanding. I might not know how it works, but I have a good understanding of what people are doing across the board.
Yeah.
That's an extremely underrated bonus of Siggraph. You get to feel smarter.
Yes, I love that.
Soft body collisions. Yes, swirling my wine.
I want that to be the highlight of the talk. Like all of these, like SV Lives, TL Lives, we obviously give some very good, valuable advice. But this is the first time where I've seen someone be like, "You just feel smarter," and I just want that smarter.
Honestly, coming from an arts background, you don't get a lot of opportunities to really flaunt that. So for me, it's a huge plus.
Right.
Yep,
That's very cool.
I mean, another favorite conference program I do like is also Real Time Live in that same vein, because I do work in real time now, and it's just super interesting to see what people are doing to push boundaries, break things, not break things, and it's all live, so you get to see professional people make mistakes too.
Yeah.
Real Time Live is my other favorite. Yes, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah. And for me, definitely, like all those are valid as well, but I'm mostly looking forward to this thing called Houdini Hive that happens during Siggraph. It's done by Side Effects and Houdini, so it's what I'm like super interested in, and that's where I met my career idol as well. And except for that, it's not sort of program, but more of a location like the exhibition hall, where like everyone comes to and like all the presenters, all the attendees, like everyone comes there because it's just the exhibition hall, right? You check everything out, and all the booths, hiring booths, everything is there. Just like, you walk around, you talk to people, you find interesting things. You get to play around with the interactive stuff. You wear the VR goggles and the VR domes and stuff. It's pretty nice and very, I don't know the word for it. It's just
It's kind of like
very,
fascinating.
yeah, exactly.
Very cool. Yeah. Sure. Well, those are some great ones. Absolutely. And I think that'll be the end of our session for today. Well, I want to thank everyone who made time to come to this. Hopefully, we'll see your faces this year as well, with along many new faces, which I will call out that our application is closing very, very soon on March 5th. Make sure to check out the right time zone for when you need to send in your application. I know many people who've, leaving it to the last minute have forgotten that they can't wait until the end of the day because it's already the end of the day for the time zone we're working with. On that note, I do also want to announce the conference dates, which have just been posted by ACM Siggraph, and that'll be 9 to the 13th of August. With on-demand stuff, I believe starting earlier. I don't want to give any wrong information. So make sure you check out our website for all of the details, and go to sv.siggraph.org to apply. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone. Thank
Bye.
you.
See you.